I think I'm just going to go ahead and turn the time over to our special guest tonight, which is Executive Director Jared Garcia. He is the successor to Brian Redd. He's done a couple of meetings with UPAN, and I believe this is Jared's first time with the UPAN constituents. We're so excited to have him. So please give him a warm welcome. Hi, Jared.
Hey Shane, thanks for having me, everybody. We really appreciate it. I'm joined by my executive team members, Becky Brown, Maria Shirey, Mike Shoenfeld, and Spencer Turley. I believe that they're on the call, and we really do serve as a united team as we try to manage the Utah Department of Corrections. I think many of you know me, but I'll just give a brief background of my experience. I've been in law enforcement and now corrections for over 23 years. I've worked the majority of my career at the Utah Department of Public Safety. Started as a state trooper, but really spent the majority of my 20 years there at the Utah State Bureau of Investigation. And that's where I met Brian Redd, and he and I really worked side by side for 15, 16 years of that time. After that, I went out to down to Moab to become the chief of police down there after they faced some national scrutiny and had to really repair that department before Brian Redd called me and asked me to join him as his deputy. And now I've been the executive director since somewhere in the legislative session. I think it was late February or early March. So really enjoyed my time in corrections. I've learned a lot over the last 2 years and how complicated it is, how challenging it is. And I just want you all to know how appreciative we are of the partnership we have with you. You all know more than anybody the importance of families being involved with their loved ones that are incarcerated in our facilities in the county jails. And we are glad that you have a voice, and we want to listen to you. When I took this job, I've committed that our team would be excellent listeners, but that we would follow up with meaningful action. And we really do mean it. That doesn't mean that we're going to make decisions every time that make everybody happy, because truly it is impossible to make everybody happy. But there are certain things that we do fundamentally believe in, and I think that's really what I want to talk about today. I'm not the type of person. I don't have prepared remarks. I really just want to have an open discussion and kind of tell you where we're headed as the Department of Corrections and some things that we're working on. And I also want my team and myself to be available for any questions that you have, so we make sure that we answer those questions for you.
Jared, can
Because
I interrupt really quickly? Um,
Yes, go ahead, Molly.
this is technical. Shane, can you take off the All Hearts Come Home for the Holidays screen so everybody can see everybody's face? Thank you. We're good.
Better?
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Director Garcia. Sorry.
You're fine. I always tell people I have a face for radio, so I thought that was done on purpose, and I was okay with it, Molly. Um, no, I'm trying to think where I was. Oh, so the majority of this executive team that's with me tonight, we all were with Brian Redd as well. Brian Redd and I, like I said, we worked together hand in hand for many years, but we're not the same person. And I lead differently than he does. My experiences are different in leadership than his. But fundamentally, where we were driving the Department of Corrections really hasn't changed too much since I've taken charge as the executive director. Um, our mission hasn't changed. Our values aren't changing. Our strategic plan, it obviously will adjust every year, but that hasn't changed. We've simply just continued the momentum we've had, and then we knew that there were going to be ebbs and flows to the department due to the challenges that we inherited as leadership. And so I kind of want to talk about some of those things. We are. We feel like the Department of Corrections is really headed in an amazing direction when I look at it from a broad perspective. Clearly I have a great deal of responsibility, we do as a team, to look after your loved ones and make sure that they are safe and secure, and that we open up opportunities for them to receive education, treatment, programming. And at the end of the day, we want all of them to enter society and not come back to our facilities. And we'd love to see them out in our communities, that they're doing well. But we also have a responsibility for our employees to make sure that they go home every night to their loved ones. We have a responsibility to the governor's office, the legislature, and other stakeholders. And finally, we have a great deal of responsibility to our overall communities and ensuring public safety. So we work hand in hand with law enforcement agencies locally and nationally to ensure that we're keeping our overall loved ones safe out in the community. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So I kind of want to talk about the first thing. I talked about safety and security, and I know there are some questions surrounding drug interdiction And that is an area where specifically Mike Shoenfeld, one of my deputies, and I spent a lot of time in the community. I oversaw the law enforcement piece of Operation Rio Grande downtown when I worked for the Department of Public Safety. And I truly understand that people can't turn their lives around and they can't obtain the resources they need if they do not feel safe and if they are not safe. And that's why we have significantly focused efforts on interdiction, on the removal and reduction of contraband, and reducing violence. And I know that some of your loved ones have experienced violence, and we clearly aren't going to be able to eliminate all of that. We're running prisons after all, but it is very important that we do the very best we can to eliminate and mitigate and prevent violence by leveraging information and intelligence for your loved ones. The reason for that is well, there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it's been my experience throughout my career that if people go into jail or prison, but they come back out high, that their pattern is going to continue on the same trajectory of where it started. And what we want is to create safe spaces where people can overcome those addictions and they can enter society better off than when they started. And so that starts with that. We know that gangs, other people that are involved in criminal activity, that is a big source of manipulation and extortion and violence. It has to do with drugs and money. It doesn't change whether you're in the community or whether you're in prison. That is something that we absolutely are focusing on. Um, we also want to make sure that our officers are safe, and so that's a part of that as well, right? We don't want officers to be assaulted. We want mutual respect between our officers and your loved ones. And at the end of the day, we want officers and leaders and supervisors in our facilities that are looking for meaningful solutions for your loved ones, whether big or small, right? If someone needs a new pair of underwear, we can find a new pair of underwear. If they're struggling to get in touch with their case manager, we need to find the case manager and connect them to their case manager. If it's a larger thing where they feel like they need help better contacting someone from the medical side of things, and we need to facilitate those things. And if they feel unsafe, we absolutely need to facilitate a better environment for them to feel safe, whether that means movement to another area, to a different facility, whatever that means. But in order to accomplish those things, we need people to tell us the truth and what is going on. And I know that's tough. It's not easy, right? Because if you tell us what's going on, sometimes it can create a less safe environment for you. And we're aware of that. We're not naive to that. Again, we worked in the community. In gang enforcement, violent crime enforcement for the majority of my career, and Mike Schoenfeld as well. So those are things that we try to balance. I do want to talk about the introduction of our Iris Center, which we've just recently stood up. It's really pretty amazing that the fact that my team was able to get that together so quickly. Iris stands for Intelligence, Reentry, Intervention, and Safety. And many of you maybe heard of a fusion center or a real-time crime center. That's what many large police agencies manage. We are essentially the largest law enforcement corrections agency in our state. And so it was important for me that we built something like this. And clearly, I already talked about the importance of safety, keeping our officers safe, being able to look in the facilities, see if there's a critical incident, help to manage those things. But the two things that I'm most excited about is our ability to better facilitate people's reentry into and rehabilitation while they're in our facilities through this Iris Center. Meaning, we're going to leverage technology to conduct better assessments with a higher rate of fidelity to ensure that we're connecting people to resources at the right time and the right place for the right person. And that requires us to invest. It's going to cost us a lot of money. We're asking the state legislature for more money to invest in technologies. But right now, there's a specific technology or a couple companies that we're looking at investing in so we can conduct those assessments and better manage people's cases with our own cost savings. So it's pretty amazing. We're very, very excited about it. But that is a really big part of the center. A lot more to come on that, but I think the reason I want to bring it up is because we are committed to reentry and rehabilitation. We are committed to safety. And we're going to have to hold some people accountable. I need to be very, very clear about that. I'm telling my team that our motto for UDC over the next couple of years is going to be move the middle. And what I mean by that is there's probably 5% of our population who really cause problems for the other 95% of the population. And we have to do a better job of separating those people who I call predators, I call bullies, from the people who are trying to change their lives. And we are very, very committed to that. So that's why the Iris Center was stood up as well. But in order for that to be successful, we need our officers to do more. We need our leaders to do more, and we need more from all of you. And we need to create opportunities for people to tell us the challenges that they're facing and take action. We're very focused on constituent services. Maria Shirey's on the call. We're looking for better ways to intake your information and take your concerns and react to your concerns and let you know what's going on. We get a lot of complaints and concerns that we look into where the information that the complainant received wasn't true, and we can verify that it wasn't true because we have video, we have body cameras, we have audio, and sometimes it is true. And when it is true, we have to be very reactive, very quick to react, and we have to take action and keep people safe. My point is it's very complicated. It's not easy. It's not as simple as moving one person to another. It's not as simple as restricting services, but it is what we are focused on because again, we want to move the middle. We want to create space for people to be successful, and I do not want them coming back to prison if we can help it. With our intervention piece, we're going to focus incredibly hard on our probationary population because that is an area where we feel like we can move the middle. That is a group that we feel like is very close to coming to prison, but we don't want them to come to prison. We want to assess them, we want to connect them to resources, and we want to prevent them from coming to prison altogether. Similar to what I just talked about with the group that's already in prison. We want to help them to find out what their needs are and connect them to resources. So that is very, very important to us as well. Another thing that we're super focused on right now is our community correction centers. And I think Becky, I believe she's on the call, but she's working very closely with our finance director and other people on how we can leverage some of our internal money to rehabilitate those centers to make them places that are a little bit more conducive to rehabilitation and to a successful outcome. And so there's a lot more to come on that, but we think we're going to be able to move some of our populations to better. We're going to be able to renovate spaces, move them to better spaces. We can help our parole violators that have technical violations, not serious violations, to enter one of these facilities, be assessed again, find out why they're offending, and then find a better outcome for them rather than coming back to prison if we can prevent it. Obviously, there are some people that are going to need to come back to prison, and that's really a challenge for us. We have to decipher that as we write warrants and as we work with the Board of Pardons and courts. At the end of the day, we don't decide when people re-enter society completely. That's up to the person who's in prison to follow their pathway, their case management plan, and for the Board of Pardons to make meaningful decisions. In order for the Board of Pardons to make those great decisions, though, we have to provide them with complete, thorough, and professional reports so they understand that people are doing well. So if people are performing well, they're not getting in trouble in the prison, they don't have positive UAs, they don't have disciplinaries, then those are the people that we need to highlight that they're doing the right things. And we need to let the Board of Pardons know that they probably are better prepared to enter society as opposed to those people that I kind of talked about, the bullies and the predators. Those are people that don't get me wrong. If you're a bully or a predator, your loved ones in that position where they're maybe involved in gang activity or maybe they still have some work to do. It doesn't mean we're going to lock them up and throw away the key. It simply means that we're going to hold them accountable until they're ready to make that change in their life. Many of you have, Molly, I think you've sent the proposal, and we hear a lot about tiered housing and tiered privileges, and I want you to know that we are moving towards that. So our team has a proposal in place. Obviously, this time of year is tough. We have holidays. We have people that we want them to take time off. We're finally fully staffed for the first time in my career that I can look at the Department of Corrections as being fully staffed to a number that's acceptable. But that means that we need to provide our staff opportunities to take time off and things like that. But our leadership team is working very hard. They have a presentation for us that is gonna show us a tiered housing model, meaning the people that are doing the right things, again, no disciplinaries, no positive UAs, they're not victimizing people, they're attending their treatment, their education, their programming. They are demonstrating that they want to turn their lives around. We're going to create more opportunities for them, more privileges, more visits, maybe even better. We're even talking about things as simple but as important as better mattresses, better pillows, more access to clothing and commissary. These are things that we're discussing because we really want to incentivize people to do the right things. As part of this tiered model, we believe we can expand the way we house people more similar to how we're managing the solid program in Bear 2, we think we can double the size of that because we see that the peer-led environments are successful if they hold each other accountable. I want to be clear, it's not perfect. They're still not perfect. Bear 2 is not perfect. The solid program's not perfect, but it is going well, and we believe in it, and we're going to continue to invest in it. Um, if your loved one ends up in a more restrictive housing area, I'm going to be honest, it's because they're not following the rules. It's because they are treating people with disrespect and they're not respecting people's desire to turn their lives around. I want to open up opportunities for people to turn their lives around and have meaningful change and join all of you back in the community. I think that is critical and that's what we want to do. But again, it's going to require us to hold some people accountable. Don't get me wrong, we're still willing to take your phone calls, we'll take your letters, your emails, but we're going to be honest with you why as best that we can, right? These are adults that we're dealing with, but we're going to tell you it's because they've done something that has put them in that situation, and we're holding them accountable. And we're going to try to find opportunities for them to get back into these areas where they can join the team that's trying to turn their lives around. So that's critical. I know there's a lot of questions about around mail. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. We did go to Pigeonly. There was a lot of reasons that we switched to Pigeonly last year. It was expensive, but we felt like it was important when it comes to reducing contraband. A large amount of contraband was entering our facilities through the mail. A large amount enters through visiting. And these are areas that we are taking a look at. But we are going to be making a switch back to in-house mail. There's going to be some messaging because we've realized and we know the importance of change management and educating not only all of you, your loved ones, our staff, stakeholders about the change, what it looks like, when it'll take place. I only bring it up because there was a question about it. I don't want to create panic. We're not going to roll this out before the holidays. We'll get through the holidays, and there will be a lot more information to come on that for you, for your loved ones. And then we hope that it can be more of a seamless process and we can reduce the wait times on mail while still keeping the facilities safe. So, again, more to come on that. Visiting, I brought that up. I'm not looking to reduce visiting or eliminate in-person visiting, although I know our county jails do. Our county jails, we can't influence how they run their jails. They are a partner to us. We need them. We are running out of capacity in our prison. There's a lot of conversations around that. And we support our partners in law enforcement and our sheriffs, but we in UDC and our facilities are not looking to shut down in-person visiting permanently at this time. But we do need your help. We do need your help in holding other people accountable and telling them that we don't, as a group, collectively tolerate people bringing contraband into the facility. That does not help people to turn their lives around. As a matter of fact, it does just the opposite. So we would love for any ideas or help that you can assist us in to prevent that from happening, and that will allow us to keep in-person visits open for all of you. As a matter of fact, again, when we talk about tiered housing and tiered privileges, those people who are behaving, who are demonstrating the ability and the willingness and the desire to turn their lives around, what I would like to see is more in-person visits because we understand the importance of having that contact with family and friends and other loved ones. So there's again more to come on that as well. Again, the bullies and predators will have less visits. So that is where we're headed. So um, I want to be clear. We do recognize that is challenging. I know what some of you are thinking. They're thinking, well, my loved one is being forced to do some of these things while the bully and the predator is sitting in their cell, not getting in trouble. And that's where Deputy Director Shoenfeld and his team are going to leverage what we know about information and intelligence in law enforcement and in our facilities. And we're going to work very hard to identify the bullies and also identify those who are being victimized and extorted, to have good conversations and ensure that we recognize when that is occurring, that we aren't punishing those individuals, that we're actually getting them out of that situation and helping them to be successful. So more to come on visiting. I don't know what else. Again, I'm not a scripted person. I just speak from the heart and what we're working on. We do care about your loved ones. Again, that's why we are going to hold people accountable. I want people to be successful. I think we have a really great trajectory on how we're going to leverage intelligence and case management systems to keep people safe. Obviously, we can't share all of that with you, but there is a great deal of good going on in the background. Our main records management system, OTRAC, has been around longer than I've been alive. We're in the process of changing that. That is a monumental change, similar to moving to a new prison. That's how big of a change it is for our state. But we're going to be the executive team that makes that happen. Funding willing, of course, but I think we're going to get the momentum to do that. And the reason we want to do that is, again, we want to be able to make great decisions based on information, based on data, and show people that they that we care about them, that we want them to they're going to be our neighbors. We want them to be successful neighbors, and we want to help them. Um, I think the other thing that we hear a lot about is MOUD and MAT treatment, and this is a tough subject because on one hand, it is a treatment that does help some people, and specifically in the short term. But I personally, based on my experience in law enforcement, see it as putting a bullet or a band-aid on a bullet hole. And I use that a lot. And the reason I say that is because not every person that leaves on probation and parole is going to access health care when they leave. And I wish they would, and I wish we could hold their hand while they do it. But what will happen if they don't and they're on that treatment is they're going to now go see the doctor on the street and they're going to get narcotics and then they're going to end up back in our system. So I want the group to know we're not a no on MAT treatment, but we're not a yes on everybody having it. What we are is a team that wants to be selective. I've talked to many directors throughout the country about this. My concerns, I have to be honest, Suboxone is the number one diverted narcotic in our facility. It's the one that causes us the most problems. And I don't want to create a black market for other drugs and other illegal illicit behavior. But I do want to help people to overcome their drug addiction. And so we're in the process of talking to other states. We're in the process of looking at our policy. We're in the process of working with CHS. I certainly don't want someone to come into our facility and have withdrawal for extended periods of time. I want them to be able to overcome that and then get off of those withdrawals. And then I want them to have meaningful treatment that'll help them to, when they leave, not return back to the life of narcotic abuse. Same as alcohol abuse, all those things, same as other vices that people experience. We want to help people to overcome those addictions. So again, we're not a no, we're not a yes, a full board flooding the prison. We won't. I'm telling you right now, we won't do that. But we are still in the process of finding meaningful solutions that can find solutions in the middle that'll help people. So with that being said, I think I really want to be responsive to all of you. I want me and my team to be able to answer your questions. I want to thank my team in front of you, though. They are amazing people. They work their tails off. They work night and day, holidays, weekends. And it's because they care about our mission and they care about what we're doing. They are an amazing team. So thank you to you that are on the call. And we have amazing employees at UDC as well. Many of whom are 19 years old, 20 years old. They have limited life experience, but they still care about what we're doing. They want to be a part of it. And I'm excited. I truly believe we're well on our way to being the best correctional agency in the country because we're open-minded. We're willing to make changes. We're willing to look ourselves in the mirror when we're falling short and try to do better. Um, and again, we want what's best for your loved ones, just like you do. And so, again, we just appreciate your support and your willingness to have open conversations with us, meaningful conversations. We want that to continue. And just thanks for having us. And I'll open it up to any questions that you have for us.
Thank you so much, Jared. A couple of things. I and I'm going to go through this list, but when we're okay, two things. And this, I don't know if you can even answer this, but we've requested or asked if it's possible to have back to visiting, to have the photos reinstated in the in-person contact visiting for the holidays. We know they were suspended. We were told that it had to do with the drug interdiction. And I'm going to throw it out here in front of everybody. In other prisons, they don't have little separate rooms that they do their pictures in. A lot of prisons just do their pictures over in the corner against the white wall, and they don't need a backdrop. That way, you've got the eyes in the sky, you've got the other officers, and that way, whoever's taking the picture doesn't have, if they have to turn their back to fill out the paperwork that goes along with the pictures, You've got other officers there and you've got the cameras. Is that a possibility for this holiday season? Because nobody can answer me.
I think it is a possibility, Molly. I have Spencer on the call. He oversees prison operations from the perspective. Um, we need to look at how we want. I want to be able to accomplish both. We should be able to accomplish photos. The other part is people tend to continue to skirt the rules. If we say that you can't kiss and do those things, then they always take it a little bit further. And what we need is, if we allow for something like that, for people to follow the rules. And if people follow the rules, it makes it so much easier for us to solve for yes. We are an agency and a leadership team that believes in solving for yes. So, and I'm sure Maria is taking notes for us. So we will take a look at that, and I'll get with my team and see how we can accomplish that. It makes sense that we could do it. We just need your help in encouraging people to not press the limits, to follow the rules, so we can keep the facilities safe.
Thank you very much. And frankly, after being in the prison world for 20, I don't even know how many more years now, if somebody breaks the rules, then they lose their privileges.
Right. And we've
But
talked a
I'll,
lot about that, Molly, and
yeah,
that is where we will head. And I was gonna say, I don't want to come across as being like overly punitive, but we have a tough job, right? We want to keep we truly want your loved ones to be safe. I don't want them to continue to experience addiction. I don't want to put them in harm's way. So there is a balance that we try to strike, and we don't want to punish all for the bad deeds of a couple, but when it comes to resource constraints, sometimes that has to happen because we just don't have unlimited resources. We don't ever want to explore those nuclear options. And so, yes, if we catch people bringing drugs in our facility, we are at a different place. We will charge them. We will put them on the news. They will be arrested and booked into jail, and they will lose their visiting privileges thereafter. But we don't even want that. We just want you to be able to come in, visit your loved one, follow the rules, not bring contraband in, and them to experience their loved ones during the holidays. We believe that's important as well.
I appreciate that. And Maria, maybe I'll just have a conversation with you separately about, I'm going to just rely on how Wyoming does it because we were out in the open. Everybody, visitors, everybody saw us. So it was not an easy thing to, well, maybe it was, but it seems, anyway, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to these questions. Um, the Iris Center, somebody asked if that was the one that was on the news. And she asks, is that for homeless people or just getting out? I think maybe if you want to, and is the other question about it is it functioning now or is it still waiting to start functioning?
So the Iris Center is not the same as the homeless campus that is on the news. That is much, much different. It is certainly a part of where corrections is part of the conversation, but no, it's completely separate. It was developed for us so we can be more unified as a team and leveraging information and data to keep our officers safe, to keep your loved ones safe, to find better solutions long term, so we can be more effective and efficient as an organization. Um, and that's really what the intent of it is for. There is a full-time team of people that work in there, both from our safety and security side and our law enforcement bureau, but also from our rehabilitation and reentry side. Long term, I am, because of my experience in law enforcement as a police chief and with the Department of Public Safety, I am trying to prove out in concept some of the things that we can do here to increase better outcomes out into our communities. We want to see it in our communities before people even get close to prison, because I believe we can prevent people from coming to prison altogether by just spending a little bit more time on the front end. And I apologize, I'm trying to get back on this. Well, I think y'all can see me, but I can't see you, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on here
Oh,
on my screen here.
you're frozen. And so the IRIS program has started, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. All right. And then I think this next question was asked about how you highlight those individuals. I think she might have been talking about how do you decide or figure out who are the problem people and who are the ones that are like maybe being made to do things that are illegal by the problem people. How do you parse those out?
Well, I mean, that is why we're continuing to add new technology to our facilities. I know body cameras are a question people have.
Mhm.
Body cameras are a piece of technology that people have questions about, but they're important. They make sure our officers are doing the right things and acting professional and treating people with respect and dignity. They also record incidents where people are doing bad things, and so because they capture audio and video, so they can help us to determine some of the allegations that we receive. If one of our officers did something bad, they're acting inappropriate, they violate policy. Certainly, if they violate law, we are going to hold them accountable. And so it is a tool that we can use to hold them accountable. So as far as identifying the people that are the bullies and the predators versus the victims, is we leverage human intelligence, meaning people that tell us what's going on. We the technology that I just discussed to you, and we're asking you for more information. So it's probably a good time to give you the email address for the Iris Center. It's just iris at utah.gov. And you don't have to give us your name or anything, but if you have information about one of your loved ones that's being victimized, that's being extorted, even in the community, if anyone's being extorted, you can send us an email, and I can assure you, our law enforcement bureau, not only are they going to look into it, but we work very closely with our task forces throughout the state, whether it's the gang unit, drug task forces, and also local law enforcement agencies like Salt Lake City PD, West Valley PD. We collaborate with all of them because we know that these things that occur in our facilities, they don't start and end there. They can start there, but they certainly can drift out in the communities with all of you on this call as well. And we want to keep everybody safe.
That's really good to know because that was another question, not on this chat, but that somebody sent me that's how to safely report. So it's because, as you know, our incarcerated loved ones don't want to report something because everybody in the unit is going to know if they reported something. And if we report it, then obviously we're connected to them and everybody's going to know.
Mhm.
And no disrespect, you have a lot of really good officers, but there are some officers that just might let something slip when somebody reports something. So it sounds like this iris might be a safer way of reporting a problem. Is that correct?
Well, we think so, because it's you can be anonymous, or you can give us your information. Obviously, I mean, I have to be really clear, and this is not the corrections only, and this is the law enforcement. The more information we have, the easier it is for us to follow up on things. It's hard when people just give vague and pieces of information. It's better if we can actually follow up with you and you're willing to give us your information. If you don't, if you're worried about your safety, those are things we can protect and preserve. That's why I have Mike Shoenfeld. That's why I've hired former law enforcement officers to work in our law enforcement bureau who have worked on drug units and task forces because they understand the importance of confidentiality. They've managed confidential informants and they've kept people safe throughout their entire careers in those environments. And so, but that requires us to build trust and earn trust from all of you that if you give us information, we're not going to get somebody hurt. We understand the concern. I saw that retaliation is rampant. We understand that. That's why we are investing in technology. That's why we are investing in information and intelligence, and that's why we're deploying some law enforcement tactics in our facility. Again, it's not to sit and charge people. Don't get me wrong. If there are predators and bullies in our facilities, we are going to catch them and we are going to hold them accountable. It doesn't mean that they get time served. If you hurt someone in our facility, we're going to seek further prosecution. If you're involved in criminal organizations, we may indict you federally. That's to keep the rest of the group safe and to move the middle. We're going to move the middle. The other 5% that is already going to be successful, no matter what, we're going to continue to support them as well. Um, but the bullies, we don't have tolerance for bullies. We don't have tolerance for those who are going to victimize others. We want our prisons to be a place where people can turn their lives around. They can serve their time. They've already been sentenced. They've already faced the consequences based on the courts and their actions. Now it's our opportunity to help them to redeem themselves and have a bright future with all of you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, we're skipping around a bit. How are you measuring the success of the drug interdiction efforts?
Well, there's a lot of anecdotal things that we do. So we know through information and intelligence how much people are paying for drugs. and depending on the drug, whether it's Suboxone or other. And when you drive up the cost, it means that the supply is it's dwindling. So that's one way we measure it. We also measure the amount that we interdict, and we increase the amount of searches that we do in the areas that we search. So that's a piece of it. We obviously have intelligence that people provide. They tell us that, you guys are doing a good job. You are impacting the drug trade in the prisons, or you're not. In this area, you're doing a poor job, and so that's how we redeploy resources. So it's not some of it we can share. We can show the amount of drugs seized, and the other way that we track that, Molly, is we are enhancing our drug testing procedures, and Becky Brown is leading out on that. But when I talk about UAs and things like that, that's not an intent. Also, by the way, it's not like a gotcha thing, but we need to know how we're performing. And the only way to do that is that by demonstrating how many people are truly still on illegal substances and help them to get treatment so they quit using that. So that is another area that we will be enhancing. At the end of the day, the Utah Department of Corrections is committed to receiving and digesting and then outputting as amazing information and data related to all the services we offer, all of our efforts, and at the end of the day, all of our outcomes, because we want people, again, we don't want more parole violators. We want people to go out on parole and be successful. We want them to, when they're on probation, not continue to offend and never come to prison. We do know that there are specific people that are going to go out in the community, they're going to reoffend. That's another piece of this, is we want to identify them quickly while they're in the community before they victimize people. And those are the people that probably do need to come back now, and then we'll give them another try, another chance to turn their lives around. But it's not as easy as people think. It's far more complicated than just working in law enforcement in a community, and we are trying to attack it from all angles, again, so we can have better outcomes.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to skip to another topic. This person writes, those individuals who have committed a sexual offense are at risk for violence and exploitation. She talks about the safety of how they're housed, and the only safe place for these individuals is for them to be housed together. The other inmates do not talk with them or associate with them. How do they work on themselves when not safe? And I know that UDC has never really segregated people with sex offenses. Even in the old prison, they've been mixed until they go to SOTP for treatment. So how do you address that?
I mean, I think the key to this is what I talked about earlier, is having fidelity in our assessments. Um, Technology is amazing now, and we have officers that do a great job with LSR and other type of assessments. Becky Brown, again, is brilliant in this area, and she's reviewing other potential assessments for everybody, that are more expansive and inclusive. But the reason I'm bringing up technology is because we can now do more assessments. We can do them more frequently as we're managing people's cases, and make sure that part of that and part of this tiered housing and privileges is that while we assess people, we're placing them in places where they can be safe. But again, that is why our overarching philosophy is move the middle. That is why it is about removing the bullies, from separating the bullies and the predators away from the middle. We're going to continue to do that because it doesn't matter what your crime is. You should be able to come and live in a facility. You shouldn't be charged rent. You shouldn't be extorted. You shouldn't be victimized. If you want to turn your life around, you should have that opportunity. And we are not going to tolerate those who are doing the opposite. But that's going to require us to take a firm stance. And I have to be clear with this group. Your loved one that's a bully and a predator, I'm sorry, there are some of you on the call that your loved one is that. They're going to tell you that they're the victim, and it's our job to actually vet that out. But again, if we can demonstrate clearly that they are the ones that are causing problems, you're not going to probably love it, but that's okay, because we have an obligation to those who want to turn their lives around, and we're going to focus on them. We're going to focus our energy on them until those predators and bullies are ready to join them.
Okay, so on the subject of bullies and predators, one wife is asking you to clarify what you mean, because she's wondering if you're talking about inmates who do grievances, and I'm thinking,
No.
Okay.
No, if you feel or your loved one feels like they're being treated unfairly or they're not safe or they're not receiving the treatment or the education or the medical care or those things, that's why there is a grievance process. So we want to know about it. And we're going to look into every one of those and do the very best we can to be responsive and find better solutions. What I'm talking about, bullies and predators, are those who will extort people, those who will victimize people through acts of violence, through threats, those who actually will try to earn money by selling them narcotics and those types of things, those who will have them hold their contraband like weapons and cell phones and those things. Those are bullies. We are not going to tolerate it. But if you have a grievance, you feel like your quality of life, your safety is at risk, we want to know about it. Because again, we firmly believe in creating space for people to be successful. It's not hard to identify the bullies. There shouldn't be any gray area in this category. They're the same people that you would see out on the streets that you would think I don't feel safe around them. That's really what it boils down to. And I don't feel safe around them for a reason because they are not conducive to a safe environment. And those are the people we want to identify and remove them from the general population.
Thank you. Okay, I know we keep skipping around, and I'm trying to get to the general broad questions. Um, I think this question might have been asked before you explained when you replace Pigeonly that there will be both regular mail and messaging, it sounds like. Is that correct? Because this
Yeah. So
question
I
is
mean,
why aren't about digital communication.
yeah, they're really two different things, Molly. We want to expand the use of tablets in our facility. We would love to have a tablet in every person's hands, for a lot of reasons, right? The problem becomes the people that try to use those items nefariously, and it happens all the time. And so what we're trying to do is we're piloting a few tablets that can deliver the services that we feel are necessary, but also do it in a safe way. So that's the first step when it comes to digital messaging. At the end of the day, we would love for people to be able to receive email, letters, you name it, good communication through the tablets, especially when they're well behaved, like we've talked about earlier. The mail process will probably look similar to Pigeonly, meaning we will intake the mail, and I don't want to get way ahead of Spencer Turley on this. And
Okay.
Spencer, if you want to weigh in, or Becky on tablets, please do. But it'll be the same thing, other than we will be the ones reproducing mail. So those who think they can soak mail with drugs and things like that, sure you can, but it's just going to get reproduced from our facility, probably at a much reduced cost and get done in a much quicker way. And that's what we're trying to ensure, that there's not the delay, but we're still going to reproduce. We may reproduce digitally once our tablet program is operating to fidelity in a way that we feel comfortable with, and then we can deliver the mail, digitally through tablets. But in the beginning, it's going to look more like it does currently with Pigeonly. The main difference is we're going to be the ones reproducing the mail, not a third party company.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, oh, I know I saw it. Now I can't find it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay focused, but
You're okay.
I'm going
Hey,
all over.
Molly, do you mind if I give Becky and Spencer a minute just to be able to chime
Please,
in if they have anything to add to that? I
I
would
would
love.
love to hear more about what they're planning because between mail, visiting, and phones, those are the most common issues like for communication. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Becky.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. All of you are aware we've used a tablet vendor called Origin for many years, since around the COVID time, maybe before. And we tried really hard to make Origin, which is more of a learning management system, into a system that would also meet the needs operationally. And many correctional organizations and agencies really use their tablets to improve and enhance overall quality, operations, and contact with loved ones and all of those pieces. And we know with good tablet use, we can monitor that in a safe way so that we're protecting people and all of that. So it has been quite a lift over the last 2 years for us to really evaluate how we would move through that project and make sure that we keep in mind the needs for education and access to religious services and family members and all of that. and do it in a way that's meaningful. What we also hope for as we move through this process, we've been piloting another tablet vendor. What we anticipate is we'll have more of a hybrid model where we use one for learning management, education, support, religious services, and one for more operational needs so that our individuals have the ability to submit their grievances in a trackable way so that we have access to that. Right now, as you know, are well aware, grievances are submitted on paper, which is pretty antiquated. It would allow us to better track themes as an executive team and be able to inform decision-making more quickly. The grievance processes, as we all know, have sometimes inherent delays that don't allow us to operate effectively and efficiently for operations. HCRs and medical requests and all of that could be better accomplished. But what we don't want to do is go into a situation where we haven't fully vetted it and we don't know all of the operational needs of the individuals and your loved ones and you as family members. So we don't end up in another situation maybe like Pigeonly or other system difficulties like the Fusion implementation that happened years ago. We want to do this right. And so that is the area that we're operating in right now. We intend to have a pretty solid plan. By the first quarter of next year, we will make sure that we're communicating with all of you. But tablets are the way of the future and allow us better access. So we're committed to that for you and your loved ones.
I'll let Spencer talk, then I'll ask my question.
I'm just everything that Director Garcia said is right on with what we're doing for mail. We do hope that it will be streamlined and more efficient for the families. It's going to save you some money so you don't have to pay a third-party vendor to do some of the mail. We'll do all of the scanning in-house. And so when the mail comes in, it'll come into our mail room. We'll scan it into the system. We'll reprint it. And so if there's any illicit substances or anything, those won't come into the facility. And then the mail will be delivered to the families. I did see that there was a question about pictures. We will allow for pictures. I don't know the certain number on those per letter, but we'll have a whole lot more information that comes out in the coming months. Timeline-wise, we intend to start this in early January and basically give like a 30-day grace period for messaging to roll out once we start it. And so then in early February, Pigeonly would be removed entirely and everything would come directly to the prison. So for short term, please don't start sending any mail to the prison yet. Through the holiday season, please make sure you're still using the current process. But we'll give you specific dates and times to start sending your mail directly to either Gunnison or USCF, wherever your loved one is at.
So, can I clarify? There will be very detailed. I think we learned from Pigeonly that there are so many questions. So if UPAN if you guys post it on your website and UPAN can get as detailed information as soon as possible, that will be fabulous to make it a smoother transition.
You bet. We can absolutely do that.
And then with the tablets, if it is going to roll out in January, will there be, I don't even know how to
Molly,
ask
let
this.
me make sure to clarify. We're first quarter, potentially of next year, we'll have a communications plan. And I can tell you that we will likely ask this group for feedback on what we're working towards. There are very specific processes that we have to work through for the RFP process and awarding contracts and things like that. So you'll be well aware, and we're committed, like I said, to communicating that. I don't want to set any ideas here around January because then we'll cause panic. We are working closely with all stakeholders, including our religious providers and volunteers and everybody, to make sure that we do this correctly. And I know you guys will tell us when we miss.
I know. So I appreciate that. And so I guess my next question is, is there funding and will there be enough tablets for everybody? Because I know just recently when they took all the tablets to audit them, and then not everybody got their own tablet back, and people that had their own tablets then had to share tablets. And there's a lot of problems with sharing tablets, which I won't get into here, but damage that's done by one person and then they're both in trouble. And anyway.
I think, Molly, that is our goal, is to have a tablet in everybody's hands. But again, the tablets are unique because the tablet themselves, and Becky, you chime in, of course, they're not the cost. The cost is it's the services that are provided on the tablets that cost either us or your loved one or you in many cases. And so those are kind of the things that we're trying to balance. We would love to have one in every person's hand so they have full accountability for the item, because that is another problem is, many folks break those things and they don't really care that they get broken. But we're trying our best to provide something that they have to care for, that is meaningful to them, that they value. And specifically, as we talk about tiered housing and privileges, we definitely would like to have a tool that we can provide more privileges on as they progress throughout our system.
Thank you. Are we okay to move on to a different topic that's in the chat? It looks like I've got a lot of chats to go through. This one is about prison mental health and mental health medication, which is important and vital, obviously, to the healthy change for them in there and to get out and to be able to live productively. I'm not sure what the question is. It says meds that inmates need regardless if someone else could get high from it. Is this something? Okay, I'm not sure, Eugenia, exactly the question, but how about this? I know that mental health has been, in my opinion as a mental health therapist, understaffed for a lot of years. Is there progress in more mental health therapists and prescribers, and then the continuity of medication? Because I know sometimes they have to see the doctor as they're getting adjusted, and sometimes that falls through the cracks and they end up having discontinuation syndrome because they don't get their meds fast enough. Is that something you can answer, Becky?
I mean, I would never want to speak for CHS, but what I will tell you is that as an executive team, we consistently engage collaboratively to understand their priorities and how we're working to improve the system and access to care and psychiatry and all of those pieces. I do feel confident in saying that we have made progress over the last 2 years in how we're accessing, how we're sorting through HCRs, how we're understanding critical needs. But when we talk about abusable medications and we talk about medication compliance and all of those pieces, I think it is going to be a collective effort, because we cannot keep someone who's not compliant on medications. We want to be able to, on those medications, we have to work collectively with them. So I would say there are efforts. I wouldn't want to speak specifically to the priorities of CHS as they're going forward with their processes for the budget review. But again, we work very collaboratively. And as far as the continuity of care, I've never seen a better continuity of care team than we've had. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect, but we do have collaborative teams working very closely in Antelope and in Current, which are two of the areas that are of high concern for me as a clinician. When we discharge someone directly from those areas without appropriate continuity of care and reentry planning. And so what we have had to learn in this department, being as large as it is that we have to take the elephant one bite at a time, and we have to figure out those key areas of concern and the populations that we need to intervene with. And I can assure you that we are taking every effort to make sure that we have dashboards that help us better track individuals who are of high priority, that we have visibility from the executive level down on the importance of reentry and continuity of care. And while we're not perfect, we are making very consistent progress that we can speak to in those areas.
Okay, so that kind of goes along with the next two questions about, first of all, when a person is suicidal, and we've heard at UPAN, not just the person who submitted this, but I've had to advocate for some people where they were on, the really rough suicide watch, which is horrible because they have no contact with their support system. And then they get put back in general population, but they're not getting regular mental health therapy. So is there more, what's the plan for more availability of mental health therapy to people, even in general population, because they get sent back to general population?
Well, I can tell you that it's a focus of both of the departments. I don't have the solution right now. I do believe that some of the efforts that we're making with technology can help us to better identify. I think being able to better identify more early intervention pathways for individuals who are expressing suicidal ideation, who are not compliant on their medications, will allow us to be less reactive and more proactive for those populations. And we should do a separate meeting with
Yeah.
CHS so that you can ask these questions directly, because our budgets are really run separately but in parallel. And I would love for Amanda and Dr. Wisner and Dr. Bank, to be able to speak to some of the efforts they're taking, so that I don't get in front of them or anything like that.
Okay, with that said, then can I just ask you now, would it be possible to schedule a medical meeting with CHS, with corrections and DHHS for the spring?
Yeah, let's do it. I know
Okay,
they'll be willing.
okay.
Absolutely.
Ann Bradshaw will be in touch with you.
Okay. Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, because if we could do a public meeting like this
Mhm.
instead of just in the stakeholders, I think that would help people feel better. Um, okay, it talks about corrections at utah.gov.
I
Okay, so
saw one question, Molly, that I would love to highlight, and I don't
sure,
mean to take over, but one of the
please.
questions was around case managers and how we can talk about evidence of doing things differently. And I would just tell a very significant story that we've witnessed over the last about 12 months with an individual who we were able to identify in our system had been spending the last, since about 2009 within our system, early charges in 2007. We were aware of this case, and we asked our teams to handle this case differently because of his cognitive needs, his functional needs, and those pieces that we were aware of as a collective team. And this was UDC, CHS, and our APNP teams. And I am happy to report, for the first time since 2007, this individual, I just received a video of him coming off of paper. He's now, I visited him at his home. He's now living in his home successfully. And he and many others, we've had several of these cases that are individualized stories. He is willing to come speak about his successes, and we have a few others that I'd love to invite, because I think it's hard to see that there is a change, and we are seeing active evidence of these changes when we're asking people to do this work differently. It's just hard to see it all at once. So I did want to just share that story and
Yeah,
offer that up for a UPAN meeting in the
that,
future.
I'd like to
that's
piggyback on that, Molly, because we have been hearing all of you, and one of the things that resonated over our first, I don't know, Becky, year was I can't get in touch with my case manager, and so we deliberately revamped that whole program. We've removed people that were case managers for a long time, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 years, because we didn't feel like they were cutting the mustard. But by doing that, we had to retrain staff, we had to identify new leadership, and that doesn't happen overnight. But we're finally in a place where we have the right team there, they're trained and they're full speed ahead, and we think we can continue to support them and your loved ones with the technology. But to Becky's point, it doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes it can feel like it's not happening at all. I'm sure when to be in your shoes, that's how it feels sometimes. But I want you to know we've listened to you. That's why we made the changes, and we're very excited about what the outcomes are going to start to look like.
Thank you. So there's another question related to case managers. And I have to say, over the past 20, I don't know, even know how many years now my loved one's been involved, 22 years. Um, I have seen a lot of improvement in case management in the last couple of years. I think it's helped to have community case managers come in. And in the medical arena, I think it's helped to have the care navigators come in, which just for our families, that's not a case manager, it's a care manager that helps with medical and mental health care for people that need a lot more than the average person. At the same time, there are still some case managers that are not responsive. What is the best way to safely go about reporting those? I've reported some on behalf of families that have contacted me, and I think there's some that have changed, whatever you do to help train them, but there are some that just get transferred to another building. And so the question here is how are the caseworkers being held accountable? So without giving us anything that would compromise you or like can you reassure us that there's a process that these case managers that keep getting reported are being retrained?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, I'll kind of back up a little bit. Becky and I went and visited Bear 2, many of the inmates there, your loved ones, and we talked to them about we shouldn't have higher expectations than you have for yourselves. And and I think that's important, but that goes for my employees too here at the Utah Department of Corrections. They should have the highest expectations for themselves and the work product that they put out, and they should have extreme pride in being a professional correctional officer and their ability to impact people's lives. And so, with that being said, if you or your loved one is experiencing a lack of case management or a lack of attentiveness, we want to know about it. It's we want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly about this department. And because otherwise, how can we make positive change and make great decisions? I'll have Maria chime in on the best way for you to get that information to us, because that's not something nefarious. That's not something the law enforcement bureau would look into or professional standards, but it is something we would direct our leadership to look into about the quality of work and their review. And yeah, we would train them. We would maybe coach them, counsel them. Maybe they're inexperienced. Maybe they're still learning how to do the job. So again, we're not the administration that's just going to drop the hammer on somebody. We're going to try to guide them and mentor them and help them to be successful until they prove to us that they can't. And sometimes that means that they're just in the wrong assignment. We need to move them to a different area. Sometimes that means that they just shouldn't be. This is the wrong department for them. But really, what I'm saying is we want to know about it, and we are committed to looking into it. Maria, I'll just have you chime in on the best way for us to receive that information.
Yeah, I always say start with corrections at utah.gov. That is our monitored email box. It's monitored by multiple people. We track every response that comes through there, and it's the best way to make sure that you do not get lost in the sea of emails that some of our staff and our team gets bombarded with. We also have created, since Jared, Becky, and others have come on board, a full-time stakeholder engagement coordinator. That's Skee Afatasi. He's on the call. I popped his email into the chat as well. I saw that there was a question on, will you take individual calls? Absolutely. Like we have open door policies, but we just want to make sure that you're getting responses from us in a timely manner, which is why we've set up our constituent services unit and our stakeholder experience group to make sure that you do get a response. And again, you're not getting lost in our email boxes that can get pretty overwhelming. So that's what I would recommend. And like Jared has reiterated multiple times, we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you're not getting responses from us, or if they're not to your satisfaction, I do want to hear that. You can tell me personally. I'll pop my email address into the chat there too. But again, just making sure that we get back to you and that your response is tracked. Also, one reason for that, just so you can get into my head a little bit, we often see grievances come in on an issue. We have our Incarcerated Individual Advisory Council that is bringing up issues. And then we'll also see some concerns coming in from UPAN or from our constituent services line. When we can look at those as a whole, that's how we can get in and address bigger, broader issues that are impacting more than just one individual. So that's another reason why we like to track them centrally, so we can look across, okay, what's coming in grievances, and are we seeing these same issues come in through our IAC, and are we hearing this from families? Okay, then we really have an issue here, and this isn't just a one-off.
Thank you. And I appreciate that, because we do get complaints that because they'll say, well, who do I go to? And I'll say, well, email corrections@utah.gov. And they're like, well, I did 2 weeks ago and I got an automated response and then I've never gotten an answer. So You want us to then have them go to you with it?
Well, I would say corrections first, but I do want to hear if you're not getting a response back
Okay.
from that because it's our expectation you are responded to in some way. And so, honestly, though, some of these things are complex and they require a lot of digging really to find out what the truth is. But it is my expectation for our team that you will get a response. So, if you are not, I do want to hear about that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, now we're back to mental health. Would UDC ever consider confidential video visits with external licensed mental health therapists because there's so much strain on what UDC has available? Is that something that can be arranged, or is that just up to a client? Oh, well, I'm just
I could
leading the
maybe
question.
respond, Molly, with what I think can happen in the future. As you know, the Medicaid waiver is potentially going to be able to go live in Utah, which allows people 90 days to the gate to be eligible for Medicaid services. That may give us some more opportunities for contracts and partnerships. Because the funding limitations, we rely on how we allocate our resources and how we're doing that. What I feel very confident about is that as we move towards better enhancements and innovations in technology, it will allow us to get to the right people at the right time. Um, so I think the long-term answer is that I think we will have more opportunities open up in the future. I don't have a timeline on when I think that can all occur, but is progress in that area. And once somebody is Medicaid eligible, obviously, as we start that continuity of care process, it might look a little different and give CHS some capabilities to meet those needs differently. So we're talking about all of those things a lot.
Can I
I,
offer a
I,
suggestion to maybe consider? And I'll just throw this out as a mental health therapist that was at one time willing to do some volunteer work at the prison. This was before we had Zoom, but to try to fill that gap, and they just basically said no. So, what if the family pays for it? Could it be arranged similar to a legal visit?
Oh, wow, Molly, ideas. I mean, I think we should put it into the pot and stir it around and see, there's always limitations around volunteerism and then what's appropriate. And I mean, I'm happy to kind of bring that forward. I think we should bring that up in the spring meeting with CHS. And we absolutely can get more engaged with how we could accomplish some of that.
Okay.
Molly,
Yeah.
I also think that's why we get excited a little bit about technology and the delivery of services if we can do it in the right way, because telehealth overall is a possibility when you have the safe use of tablets. But we have to be able to do it safely. And so, to Becky's point earlier, we need to make sure we're rolling it out. But if we can do it correctly, I think we can deliver more services via telehealth and via the tablets, including mental health treatment.
Yeah, I would just say the tablet vendor that we were currently working with on the Origin side does not have a HIPAA compliant platform. So part of the strategy as we've been reviewing our hybrid strategy and model for moving forward with our tablets is the requirement that there is a HIPAA compliant platform to give us better access, Molly, to services that could include even medical services that can be accomplished through telehealth. We were unable to on our current vendor.
I really like that idea. Motorola on here says they have a mental health hotline for the officers. Why don't they have one for the inmates? Having someone in Max for 11 years, he's never been able to sit with a therapist. So maybe that something that could be like a stopgap measure to look at in the nearer future then? Okay, I know we're just throwing out ideas, but
We're getting excited. Yeah, well, let's put some of these in our bucket and start to like butter them like popcorn and see who we can get excited about it.
We
okay.
certainly should have an option like that, Molly, and I
Yes.
think it's something that Becky and I can explore and team once we have next time we convene together.
And I think I know it would again be maybe a little bit on the lines of a legal call, just because some of the things that people write to me about or their families contact me about are not something they want officers listening to. So anyway, we'll go from there. I'm gotta go through some of these. Um, Caseworkers. Oh, Leah, the email addresses for caseworkers are, if you go to offender search on the corrections website and you put in the person's name or offender number, it comes up with them. But then when you click on view, it's got their case manager and the email address there. So that's how you can get an email address for the caseworker for your loved one. Sorry, I just decided to answer that, you guys.
Thanks, Molly. That's great.
Let's see. Oh, so Amanda already answered that on the chat. Okay. Emailing. Sorry, my scroll doesn't want to work very nicely. Okay, so you've got there's information in the chat with Skee's email and all of that is in there. So, okay, not responding to emails. Again, it sounds like send it to corrections@utah.gov. If you do not get a response, escalate it to Maria. And I can speak personally. Maria or Skee both will get back to me if I haven't gotten anything from corrections@utah.gov. There's another question that says, is CUCF getting the same attention as, excuse me, as Salt Lake?
Yes. So as we discussed, even tiered housing, tiered privileges, we absolutely discuss both prisons as being a big part of DPO. They're obviously different facilities. USCF is newer. It's the structure is different. The challenges are different. But absolutely, we make sure that both wardens are included in the discussions, and they have them and their staffs provide input. And we want consistency across prison operations. No matter the topic, we want consistency. So it's something we strive for. Does it happen? No, not yet, but we're going to keep striving for it.
Okay, so here's a shout out for you guys. Shireen says, I know that complaints make more noise, but I like to say how impressed I have been with Garfield. The commander is very responsive and supportive. So somebody get that to 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 IPP, please.
Well, we'll talk to Sheriff Houston as well because he is a good sheriff, great partner, and I'm sure he would love to hear that his staff is treating people with respect and dignity. That's great.
That's good. Yeah, we've had some good feedback from some of the jails, and then as you know, other jails just don't offer what they say they do. So there's another one that says, can UDC prompt UPAN about issues to be forwarded to the membership that we can turn in? It can in turn lobby the legislature or our reps. Do you have a list of elected officials that are pro UDC and can be lobbied? Oh, yeah, we lost a lot of funding in UDC programs and volunteer programs and stuff this year. Do you guys have any feedback that we can give our families?
You know, we have a lot of legislative champions in the legislature. We feel very great about where we're at overall. I'll just be transparent with you, like I am with our employees. It looks like a really dim budget year for every state agency. I get worried about cuts in years like this, so we hope we don't have to get to that point. But they do know our needs right now when it comes to operations and maintenance, and our need to continue to compensate employees so we can keep them, so we don't have to constantly hire and retrain, which costs us a lot of money. And they understand the very big importance of rehabilitation and reentry, and they're very focused on supporting us. We have a lot of conversations with them, not just during the legislative session, but it feels like weekly nowadays, right, team, where we're meeting with them to talk about capacity and what we can do to improve that. And the biggest way to improve that is just by creating great opportunities for great outcomes so people don't come back. So, yeah, you certainly can speak with your legislator in your area. That's always helpful to advocate for programs and the things that you want for your loved one. But I do have to say we have a lot of trust in the legislature. They see we're trying to do the right things. We're working very hard. We have dedicated people, and relationships like this with UPenn are important as well. So we feel good about where we're at. We're just cautiously optimistic because we know it's going to be a tough budget year.
Okay, good. Not good that it's a tough budget year, but sorry, I am really trying to get this. Somebody is saying, oh, I think it's Leah. Thank you for that, Maria. Okay, so Leah's giving a shout out to Maria. So, and you know what, everyone, Maria is amazing. Becky is amazing. Spencer, I don't even know if you're a chief, a deputy chief. I don't even know your title, but he's just for people to know that Spencer is really receptive too. And actually Director Garcia, but we can't just always get to them. So go through Skee or go through corrections at utah.gov. And then when we're lucky, we get a message back that has been typed by Spencer or Becky or somebody up at the top, because Skee will forward that to us.
By the way, they're all deputies. They all work very hard. We try to be very
Oh, Spencer, yeah, you're a
responsive.
deputy executive director. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
they but I have to tell you, like I promise they're in the same boat as me, where they have hundreds of emails that, like, after this call, I'm sure we'll all be reading our email till our family members kick us off their email. So we do appreciate you going through Skee, but we don't want you to think that we don't think we're too important to talk to anybody or too busy. It just may take us a minute to get to that email or that phone call to be responsive, where Skee's whole job and the whole reason we created his position is to create quicker responsiveness to all of you. So you certainly can email us, call us. We'll get to you as quickly as we possibly can, but Skee is going to be probably the quickest response that you'll get.
Yeah, Skee's great. Maureen asks about support groups for the prisoners like AANA or Life Ring Recovery.
Do you want to touch on that, Becky or Spencer?
Yeah, in our volunteer, I mean, we have around 1,500 volunteers, some active, some not, and some of them are coming in and doing specific meetings, reentry groups. We have religious meetings, we have support groups. I think it is an area that is a focus for us over the next year, where we're working really hard to continue to enhance our partnerships and continue to enhance our peer support efforts, where we're training peer support specialists behind the walls, so your loved ones have the ability to access that and then can enhance the services that they're providing for reentry and rehabilitation as well, as people with lived experience. So I will say that is a focus. I couldn't just speak off the top of my head today as to how many of those meetings are happening or how consistently. Those types of things sometimes are on again, off again, based on what the individual's needs are or interests. And that's why we're hoping, with the help of really good assessments and functional assessments on the front end and some good visibility into that, it will help us drive those strategies to make sure that we're bringing the right people in. Because if we're bringing 100 people in to do financial literacy, but that's not what is needed behind our walls, we have the ability to shift. So I will say, I'm a huge supporter of rehabilitation. As some of you may know, I am a licensed clinical social worker and a substance use disorders counselor by training. And so we are focused on how to improve access to all of those pieces and not have to do it all by ourselves.
Can I also say, I don't know if it's happening right now. I think there is an AA that's run by an inmate, like it's just, he does it in his unit in CUCF somewhere. And there used to be those all over the place in, like in the old prison. I don't know what's happening in the new prison because, well, I repeat this all the time, but with the 8-man cells and the way their people are mixed together, they don't have people with similar interests housed together the way they used to be able to do in some of the housing units in the old prison. But in CUCF, I think it's happening still, just for people to know.
Thanks, Molly. And I can work to get some additional answers on that so that we have that for the future.
Okay. Skee is amazing. Yes, Skee is. It's talking about CUCF and USCF having different visiting times. And for those of you, can I just answer this real quick? So for people on here who haven't been tracking it on the family Facebook group, the reason is if they make the CUCF visits for a full 2 hours like USCF, because they only have one visiting room and all the buildings have to go even their max has to go to that one visiting room. If they made them 2 hours, they wouldn't be able to have as many visits throughout the week. So not every, like your loved ones would have fewer choices of visiting. Where in USCF, like Dell the women have their own visiting area. Antelope has its own visiting area. Current has its own visiting area. So they can run visits in Current and Dell and Bear all at the same time. So that's why it was explained to us. And so for those of you who can, try to pay attention because we post some of this stuff on the family group as soon as we know. And yes, CUCF is different. I don't know why they don't allow hugs at the beginning of the visits, but they don't. And we've tried to advocate for beginning and end in CUCF, but that's an internal thing that I get told, it's kind of the way it is, Molly, and we're not going to give you all our private security safety reasons. So, okay. Okay, here's a shout out from Ray Mullins. Oh yeah, he was an amazing, he was so helpful in visiting. So I would just like to shout out Ray Mullins is an amazing individual. He's always been so caring and honest how he treats us as families, but more importantly, how he views and treats our loved ones. More individuals like him on the staff could change lives. I can't say the same thing. Okay. The the same kind. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not able to make my. Anyway, he's been moved to a different position and he can't say the same thing about what's happening now. Ditto about Sergeant Strong. This is from someone else. Please have those two train visitation guards how to treat people. Okay, you guys have already received a lot of concerns about how visiting has been happening. So I'm going to ask any of you again, because we keep asking for the new visiting rules. We're now 3 months into it, 4 months into it since the visiting staff changed on July 18th. And all the rules started changing. And as of a few days ago, when I checked, the UDC website still does not have the updated dress code or updated visiting rules. Do we know when that's going to be posted? So people that are, especially people that are new to the prison and think they know what they're doing and they show up to visiting and they get turned away because it's old visiting rules. When is that going to be posted and updated?
Go ahead, Spencer.
Yeah, so Jared, I can take that one.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So there's a couple of pieces to it. One of the things I saw somebody else in the chat box say we can do better, and I will be the first to admit we can do better. Like that's a fair statement. That's good feedback for us that I completely agree with. One of the challenges that we have is when we go to make changes, there's a heck of a process to do it, and some of it runs through the Attorney General's office from a legal perspective and those kind of things. So what I will say is we are aware that we have committed to putting new things on the website. We're updating our internal policy, and we've had a lot of feedback come from constituents. So I'll just give you a couple of examples. We had somebody that was turned away from coming into the prison because the officer, the sergeant, whoever it was that was working, said that the sleeves on their shirt were too short. And they sent us a snapshot picture and said, "This is what I've worn. They've let me in before. Why couldn't I come in this time?" And I'll be honest, I got the picture and said, well, frankly, that's ridiculous. That person should have been able to come into the prison. And so we've been having some of these conversations. There was a similar one that was sent regarding pants or leggings or something that this person was wearing. So there have been some inconsistencies depending on who's working and visiting, for who's been turned away and who shouldn't. And there's probably been a few people that have been turned away that shouldn't have been turned away. And we will own that and we apologize for that. So some of what we've been doing on our end is trying to give our staff better feedback, better training, and more consistency to make sure that it's fair across the board for everybody that's coming in, because that's frankly how we can do better and it's the right thing to do. So I'm going to say that we're in the final steps of just getting everything done to get new information on the website, to get a new policy in place, to make sure that we're being more consistent, not only at both prisons, but with both squads that we have working, because the staff rotate through. So give us a couple of weeks and you will see some changes posted and published there on our website.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask a favor, Skee or Maria, when that happens, will you give me a heads up? Because we are all volunteer and we just can't spend every day checking the website. But if you'll send us an email saying, look at the website, we got new rules, that will be really helpful.
Yeah, we can do that for you, Molly.
Thank you. I'm going to let Amanda ask her question. Amanda, did you have a question?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to comment on visiting CUCF, and because I was seeing a lot in the chat too, like about CUCF only having weekend visits, and that goes back to like what Molly was saying. CUCF only has one visiting room, and they have to have room to accommodate their video visiting during the week too. And I feel like CUCF has always been the exact same. They've never wavered. It's always the same. The visiting staff does a great job. I never have like any weird expectations or question what I can wear. It's always been very consistent there, and I really appreciate that. But to going back to a lot of these questions, they just don't have the space to accommodate doing all these different visits during the week because of the video visits and trying to get everybody on their schedule.
Thank you, Amanda. We realize that as we have conversations with legislators and we're discussing a 10-year master plan for the department, because as an administration, we can't just think about today. We have to think for 10, 15 years out for whoever's in charge of this place then. And that is one of the discussions, is what expansion of Gunnison would look like, what it would cost, what areas need improved, including the culinary, the kitchen area, visiting. These are all things that we're having discussions about. So unfortunately, it just doesn't happen overnight to get the funding and to get the construction completed. But know that we are having those conversations, and we hope that we can improve those areas for future visitors.
So this goes in another direction. They're asking why UDC won't allow books for us to order books for our loved ones from Barnes & Noble or Amazon. And that changed many years ago. So can you answer that?
I would just say, and if Spencer have anything to add, it definitely has a lot to do with safety and security. We find a lot of books with Suboxone and other narcotics stuffed in the bindings and in the parts of the books, or drug-soaked paper and those types of things. I think this is why we hope that we can get more advanced with the technology and books on the tablets and things like that, but also ordering the books directly through us is probably another solution as well. So, Spencer, you have anything else to add to why that decision was made in the past?
No, it was basically facilitating contraband interdiction, that there were people that were ordering a book from Amazon or Deseret Book or Barnes and Noble or pick a book vendor. And in some cases, they would order it, they would take it home, they would stuff it with contraband, and then either they would take it back to the vendor and ask the vendor to then send it into the prison, or they would order it, take it home, stuff it with contraband, and then repackage it as if it came from the vendor and send it into the prison. And frankly, it was a way to help reduce the amount of contraband coming into the prison because it was a way that was happening repeatedly.
Okay. Thank you. We were talking about, educational programs. So this year, Susan Sundstrom, our Director of Educational Opportunities, and I have been broken records about the programs in maximum security in both prisons. So we were told at the last stakeholders meeting that they had been paused for a little while, but they're starting up again. Do you have any updates on that?
Yeah, I mean, I will just tell you that I will be looking into that because also I was under the impression that we had restarted. There was just a brief pause so that we could address some security concerns and movement. So I will be following up. I've already actually got an email out to our education director and our captains with our education teams. So we're on it.
Thank you. Okay, now I don't know why my thing just keeps wiggling, but somewhere I just saw something. Oh, when is UDC going to start putting announcements back on the main website when there's a lockdown? Like in the old days, and I know this was before your current, they've changed websites like once every 2 or 3 years for the past couple of decades. But back in the early 2000s, up till maybe 2013 or 2010, if there was a lockdown or something major, they would just have a little blurb on the website about it. When and can that happen again? It really will help.
I think it can happen. To your point, there's a lot of changes, and those changes aren't often up to us. The Department of Technology Services, they dictate a lot of those types of services within the state for every state agency. But it's something we will take a note of and see what we can do. We also recently just hired a new communications director to take the place of Glenn Mills, who went to Salt Lake City PD, and he can help with some of this stuff as well, I believe, as far as getting messages out a little bit quicker.
That would be good because in the past, just for your information, we have talked about maybe getting texts if we sign up for texts, and I think they did a survey. Well, it was when oh, the guy with the ponytail and the
Alex
glasses.
Langton
Al,
did the survey. Yeah.
yeah, he did the survey, and so we thought that was coming. So that any kind of communication would be nice, especially when people we never know if it's a phone issue, if we don't get a call for a week, or if our loved one is like in the hospital, or if there's been a lockdown or what. So it's really helpful to help reduce family anxiety out here if we just know there's a lockdown.
Yeah. We've been
Um,
talking about that, Molly, the importance of a notification system even, and those are some technologies that we explore as well, and are looking for options that are affordable.
yeah. Mays wants to thank you all for your hard work. It truly helps us and our loved ones more than you know. And it does. I know that we keep talking about problems, but that's what UPAN hears about, and that's what our loved ones tell us about. I really value it when I get a phone call or have a visit and all we talk about is good stuff because the culture of the prison is just rough. So, okay. Captain My Story. I think you guys have all know about Captain Your Story, and that's an amazing program. So, and it's restarted in CUCF Max, so that's a good thing to know. I don't know, you guys, I'm having a hard time with my cursor. It just wants to jump around. Please. Oh, when are they going to add more book vendors for a cheaper option? Um,
Well, we can I don't think that we have an answer for that other than now that it's been discussed, we can get with the team and see what else other options are available. We're constantly looking at our contracts that we have out there to see if they're the most effectiveness overall, if they're delivering the right services. So let me get with Becky and team Spencer, and let's see if we can if there are other options out there. Sometimes it's just, when we travel, we go to conferences, another vendor pops up, they have better options. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's as simple as us sending out an email to other states to see what they're using, but it's something we definitely can look into.
Can I give you guys a shout out for you to trickle down? I've already let everybody I can think of know, but Antelope's library is up and running in USCF, and they haven't had a library for a long time, like a year or two, because when I toured last year, they didn't have a library. And so we've been on it and on it and on it. And somebody told me one of our director's son he's in Antelope, he's able to order. So just hallelujah. Claudia Taylor is the librarian that managed to have her inmate employees catalog 5,000 books for Antelope. And I'm making a big deal about this because it's a big deal. Antelope has had so much taken from them over the last few years. Hobby crafts taken. They can't crochet. They just can't do a lot of things. So at least having books back, thank you. Please, okay, somebody says, please try to accommodate those friends and family that don't have access to the internet or the UDC website. Seniors, non-English speaking children, specific signage and screening, building, print brochures. Oh, I think she might be talking about visiting print brochures. Oh my gosh. Print brochures in other languages. After all, UDC does have its own print shop, or UCI does. So I hope that's what Peg is talking about. And I had talked to one of the lieutenants in the USCF visiting about when we do get the new rules. Yes, they need to be posted on the website, but they need to have physical papers, handouts, booklets, whatever, in the visiting that we can take home and that we can explain to the rest of our family members. In my family, there are 2 other visitors that just aren't even trying to visit because they just don't want to spend all their time to get babysitters and get out there and get turned away for some reason. So if I have a booklet I can bring home and say, here you go, that would be so cool.
That's good feedback, Molly. I'll take that back to the visiting team and see if we can put together some kind of pamphlet or something that we could make available.
Okay, thank you. Well, I noticed that people are in USCF are able to leave, like private treatment programs and stuff, are able to leave their flyers on this table where we sign our little pieces of paper. So I'm going to ask you publicly right now, can UPAN put some of our flyers there so people know about us? Because
I
if a
don't see an
recovery
issue with it.
program can, okay.
Spencer, you got any concerns with that?
It's the
No.
same thing.
I'm frankly not even overly familiar with the table you're talking about. Who's on it now? What's on it? I'm not very familiar with it.
Okay, when you go into the screening room and you turn left and there's those chairs that
Yep.
you wait in, well, there's a counter. It's not a table. It's a counter in a little alcove, and it's got the old visiting rules posted on the wall. But now all along the table are different flyers. So like the family orientation or the Citizens Academy, or now there's I've seen a couple different recovery center flyers. And so I thought, well, if I just bring the same thing that we hand out at the family orientation and leave a stack of them there.
I don't,
I think
off the top of my head, I don't see a problem with that.
Thank you.
I think it's fine, Molly. What I would say though is, we are looking for every possible way to deliver those types of services to people. We want to vet them and make sure they're good services. And we hired, I don't remember Armanda's title, Becky, but she really is in charge of that prevention intervention piece. And it would be good for you if you could send any service providers that you or your loved ones are finding to be effective. Armanda would definitely love to know about it, make contact with them, see how we can build a strong relationship between UDC and the provider, because we want to continue to build a collaborative network of people that can help us in this mission.
I'm just asking for our UPAN flyers that we hand out at the
Oh, yeah.
family orientation.
No, I think we're fine with that. I'm just saying if you guys have also,
Others.
in addition to that, if you have providers that are providing resources for your family, we'd love to hear about that as well and see how we can better access them too.
Okay, thank you. This new one says, we really do value the efforts of UDC staff and definitely want to recognize people who are making a difference. We want to highlight these people as great examples. Please keep sharing them with us and we will let UDC know so they can pass it along. Susan Sundstrom, one of our directors, wrote this to all the families because we do, when you guys post on our family group, shout out to somebody, or we just got one for how amazing the reentry or the compact office is in UDC. So we forward those.
And we appreciate it. We always like to hear good stories, positive things as well.
And then Karen says, I appreciate the opportunity for this open discussion. Can we make this at least an annual event? Yeah, I think it's been an annual event for a couple years now, right?
And we are happy to participate every time.
Thank you. And then it says the family orientation. I'm sorry, it's skipping. Okay, the family orientation in the Citizens Academy and the stakeholders meetings, we really do appreciate all the opportunities to communicate. And we really, really do. And we're so thankful that you came tonight. And I know this is the beginning of your holiday because tomorrow's a holiday, but thank you guys for coming. Oh, this is the third year UDC leadership has presented to UPAN, and we love you for it, says Ann Bradshaw. Yeah.
Thank you, Ann.
Yes, this has been, the direction turned around when Brian Red took over. And we like the fact that we have this communication. Oh, so is family orientation on video? I don't think it's on video, but it's live streamed on the night. Is that correct?
It is live streamed, and Skee can speak to that, but I think we're also considering some opportunities in the future for there to be video segments so people can watch those if they need them. We just talked about that today.
That's great.
Sorry, I have a kid screaming in the background. Okay. I apologize.
Can I just say from my own personal experience over the last 13 years of UPAN, or 12 years, I guess it is, it's almost 13, that we really have come a long way. And I know it's hard for people just entering the system to understand that, but we really have come a long way. And so thank you all so much for being here. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before we wind down? No?
I would just say, Molly, I don't know if you're asking the group or us, but we just are grateful for the partnership as well. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and to listen to you. We can't get better unless we hear from you. And we are committed to doing better every single day. Like Spencer said earlier, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. But I can assure you we're going to work our tails off to create better outcomes. And Maria, I cut you off, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to give just some recognition. Molly has been outstanding lately of passing along the good things too. So it's we do appreciate hearing it. And every time we get a positive comment about our staff member, we make sure to reach out and recognize them individually. So thank you for doing that. And I've viewed this the last 9 years working here. I've always viewed this as a partnership, and I feel like, at least in my perspective, it's stronger than ever. So thank you for letting us have some time tonight to talk through these things. And thank you for giving us the softball questions and the really hard ones too, because it makes us better.
Thank you. Well, we still have other ones that we didn't get to, that were on our list. So we're going to get to those in our stakeholders groups, and then we'll post them on the family Facebook group and put them in the newsletter. And all of you from corrections that are on this call should be getting our newsletter. Thank you, Deidre.
Yeah, so that's a good segue. We just want to say happy birthday to Molly. Her birthday is tomorrow. You thought you were gonna escape it, so happy birthday, Molly.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Molly.
Molly.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Also, quick plug for next month. Actually, next month there is no UPAN meeting because we're out for the holidays. Directors still meet, of course. Our next UPAN meeting will be on Monday, January 12th, 2026. Can you believe it? Our speakers, Molly Prince, Amanda Bixman, and Karen Thompson, our three directors, will be doing our How to Advocate. It's kind of become an annual thing. We kind of do it right before the general legislative session, how to engage your legislators and that sort of thing.
And how to talk to corrections administration.
Yes. And again, we want to thank everybody in the executive team at UDC. You guys are terrific to work with. We look forward to our quarterly meeting that we have scheduled, I think, for Wednesday. Talking with you guys. Is that still happening? You look surprised, Molly. I'm looking at my calendar
When is it?
in the morning.
I thought it was on the calendar for Wednesday morning.
This Wednesday morning,
I'm seeing it on my calendar.
November 12th?
Hmm.
Oh, I guess I didn't get the invite. What
Is
time?
Skee on?
Did we move it? It's 9:30 is what I've got.
Yes, I'm here. It's on for Wednesday.
Wednesday the 12th at 9:30?
9:30 to 10:30. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm not going to come in person then. I will see you online. I can't get across the valley that early. Okay. So thank you for saying something.
Yeah, of
So I
course.
just need the link. I'll email you, Skee.
And I can forward it to you too.
Okay.
Directors, if you need it, I'll forward it to everybody. Also, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to UDC staff. We appreciate you guys. And Karen, I don't know if you're still on. When was the Nebo musical? And how did people attend that? You still there, Karen? I don't know if she could hear me. Do you remember, Molly? I think it was on.
I think it's the 20th or the 21st of December. So just it's the All Hearts Come Home for the holidays. UPAN tries to help sponsor a gift for children of Utah's incarcerated. And so that, oh, Karen, where are you? I can't remember the orchestra.
Boxes, basically. We're going to put out a bunch of information. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But
Oh, the 22nd at 7 p.m. of December. And so they're going to donate their proceeds to our holiday project. By then, our sponsors will have already ordered gifts for the children that have been applied for Utah's inmates. And so they should have already been fulfilled by Amazon. So any proceeds we get will go to next year's program. So.
And also, just lastly, a recording of this will be available on our Facebook page and also our YouTube page. Thanks again to all the UDC staff, Executive Director Garcia, Deputy Executive Director Maria Shirey, Executive Director Spencer Turley, trying to get everybody's titles right. Skee Afatasi on there, and I hope I didn't forget anybody else that's on here, but we appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here tonight. You're all welcome at our monthly meetings too, by the way. Oh, and Becky Brown. I'm so sorry, Becky. She's like, what am I, top liver?
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy
We'll
holidays.
see you.